Good day everyone, this is your cadet pilot Ian Miklat at your service. Our lessons for today is about aerodynamics. And these are our topics. Let's move on to our lesson objectives. The 4 forces of flight, paces of flight, and airfoil. So what are the 4 forces of flight? These are the thrust, drag, lift, and weight. Let us now move on to thrust. So, what is thrust? Thrust is the forward force produced by the power plant or rotor. It opposes or overcomes the force of drag. As a general rule, it acts parallel to the longitudinal axis. The next force will be drag. So what is drag? Drag is a rearward retarding force caused by disruption of airflow by wing, rotor, fuselage, and other protruding objects. As a general rule, drag opposes, tracks, and acts rearward parallel to the relative wind. The next force will be the lift. So what is lift? Lift is a force that is produced by the dynamic effect of the air acting on the airfoil and acts perpendicular to the flight path through the center of lift, or called CL, and perpendicular to the lateral axis. In the level of flight, lift opposes the downward force of weight. Next will be the weight. It is the combined load of the aircraft itself, which includes the crew, the fuel, and the cargo or the baggages. Weight is a force that pulls the aircraft downward because of the force of the gravity. It opposes the lift and acts vertically downward through the aircraft center of the gravity, or the CG. Let's move on to our next lessons, which are the paces of flight. It includes Bernoulli's principle and Newton's law of motion. So what is Bernoulli's principle? Bernoulli's principle follows logically from the law of energy conservation. When the flow rate remains the same from the one side to the next, the viscous forces that act on the fluid do not alter its total energy. Hence, the total energy of the fluid remains the same no matter where it is. In order for this to be valid, it is essential that the total amount of energy, including its kinetic, potential, and internal forms, be kept at the same level. Next is the Newton's laws of motion. As you can see, there are 3 Newton's law of motion. The first law of motion: an object's motion will not alter unless there is a force acting on it. And for the second law of motion, the amount of force exerted on an object is proportional to the object or the product mass and its acceleration. And lastly, for the third law of motion, when two things interact with each other, the forces that they apply to each other are of equal to magnitude of the opposing direction. And lastly, for our last lesson for today, is the airfoil. Airfoil, it is the job of an airfoil to provide lift while also minimizing the drag. It is a cross-sectional form that has a curved surface for its design, and it is one of that has the best ratio of lift to drag when it is in flight. In addition, lift is the component that causes the force to be applied in a direction that is opposite to the direction in which the motion is being applied. As you can see, these are the parts of the airfoil, which includes angle of attack, chord line, camber line, upper surface, lower surface, and the trailing edge. Again, this is your cadet pilot Ian Jan Miklat, now serving you. Thank you and have a great day.